All right, I am going to go ahead and share my webcam and just everybody just please excuse the weird background behind me. So I'm in my studio room and we're kind of redoing it. You can see the I don't know if you can see that, but it's like the styrofoam stuff on the wall to kind of deaden the sound and things like that. So we're working on it, and so it's kind of in the midst here. So I'm just gonna, but I wanted to have my face on here, so we could do a role play where you could actually see me talking and see my facial expressions. I think that maybe makes it a little bit more useful. So I'm really excited about today's role play. Today we're going to be talking about how to close deals, because no matter how good you are at prospecting, no matter how hard you work, no matter how many statements you get, no matter how much people like you or care about you, or you think they like you and they really don't, if you don't close the sale, nothing happens. No one makes any money. No one saves any money. You don't really get a relationship. I love these salespeople that are like, everybody I talk to, I had this really good connection with them. Did they buy anything? No, but I'm telling you, we have a good connection. What do you mean? Like, did they invite you over for a barbecue? No. Did they friend you on Facebook at least? No. What do you mean you had this really good connection? Like, your connection was so strong that they almost bought something from you, but then they said no? Okay, let me just help some of you understand something about sales, okay? That is called them getting rid of you. That's not them liking you. That's not a connection. That's them getting rid of you by making you think that you had a really good connection with them when in fact you did not. If you really think that they went home and told their wife all about, told their husband all about, you wouldn't believe this salesperson that came in today. She was so sharp, no, okay? They could care less. You left, you didn't get the deal, you have no relationship with them, okay? So let's talk about, I love having real relationships with business owners. So let's talk about how do we actually close these deals so that we get some actual real live relationships with these people, right? So we're going to jump right into it because I've only got a little bit of time today. I've got to be done in 45 minutes, which for me is really short. So this is going to take about 15 minutes, and then we're going to spend a half hour going through. So make sure if you want me to answer your specific question or talk about the challenge that you're facing in the field, I would love to do that. And you can get that information to me one of three ways. You can Snapchat me, CCSalesPro is my handle there. Look me up by username, CCSalesPro. You can go to facebook.com/CCSalesPro. You'll see a post there about this event. Comment under the post with your challenge that you face. Or the third way is to go to Twitter. You can go to twitter.com/SalesProJames, SalesProJames. And as long as you're logged in, you can just at reply to me on Twitter and use the hashtag #TwitterRoleplay, #TwitterRoleplay, okay? And then I'm going to go through each of those when I'm done with this and answer any questions that you have. And we're going to see how many of you are really active on these different social media channels, okay? Okay, here we go. Let's dive right in. So let's talk about closing deals here. Okay, so always be closing. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is that closing a sale. Closing is a process. It's not this, one-liner of I gotcha, gotcha now, and now you have to say yes. Sales doesn't work like that, and if it ever did work like that, it definitely doesn't work like that today, okay? People don't buy because you got them. It just doesn't work like that, okay? Let me explain how closing a sale works in the simplest terms I possibly can, okay? So, one second, let me get this pulled back up here so that our recording can see my webcam. So imagine that you have a bank account. Okay, you guys all have a bank account. So you have your bank account. Imagine if every time you created trust in the sales process, that was a deposit into your bank account. You deposited 1 unit of trust. That was a deposit, okay? And imagine if whenever you close the sale, depending on how hard you closed, you're making a withdrawal from that same bank account, okay? So you build up trust, which you do by getting information. When people share information with you, they trust you, okay? I think you guys are all great on this webinar, and I'm really appreciative of anybody that watches the recording, but I'm not going to share my social security number. You know why? Because I don't trust you all that much, right? I don't know who's going to watch this thing. So when you share information, it doesn't just indicate trust, it actually creates trust. When you can get your prospect to share information with you, when you talk to them about their business, the reason that you're making small talk and the reason you're talking to them about their business and the reason that you're talking to them about your business, that is building trust because they're sharing information with you. The reason that you want to dig a little deeper when they talk about issues that they've had in the past is because every time they share that information, it's a deposit into your bank account of trust. Okay? Now, here's the important thing though. Too many salespeople leave the business and they've still got all this trust in their bank account and they never risked that trust in order to close the sale. Okay? Now, the longer you're in sales, the easier it's going to be for you to kind of evaluate what's my bank account balance. For somebody like me, I mean, I've been selling for like 15 years. I would say I've been in professional sales for 12 years or so. I've been in sales training for about 10 years. And for me, I've always got that like balance in my mind. Like I know how far I can push the customer and how hard I can close the customer before it's like, that's kind of a problem, you know? So you'll get that over time. But the only way you can tell, and I got to tell you this, okay? And I know this is not what most sales trainers are telling you nowadays. They're all like, just build trust and people will just buy from you because they like you and they want what you have to offer. Sales trainers that tell you that, the last time they made a sale was like 20 years ago. People buy because you close the sale, okay? Now, that being said, yes, you have to have trust, but unfortunately, the only way you're ever going to know if what that balance is and how far you can push is when you cross the line a few times. All right. Some of you have read a story about the first merchant services sale that I ever made was this bike store, and it was like this guy. He was probably 90 years old, and really, really awesome guy. He'd been at this bike store for like 50 years, and I went in there. I spent 2 hours with this poor guy, and I was determined. I said, I am going to get this sale. Like, either I'm going to get kicked out of this place or I'm going to make the sale. Why did I do that? Because it was a small account. I needed to understand for credit card processing, how far can I push this, And so, you got to read a lot of sales books. You got to know your techniques, but then you got to push the boundaries a little bit and you got to close a sale. Okay, you got to keep pushing until you realize, whoops, I just went over the line there, and then you just back up. I'm so sorry, And a lot of times with closing the sale, it's like you're backing up and then you're going forward again because you're building trust, which is kind of the backing up, like, whatever, and then you're risking the trust. So closing the sale is a process. It's not like a one-liner at the end. Your one-liner is only going to work if you've built up some trust there, okay? Next, understand before being understood. You've got to listen. Okay? We talked about this a little bit in the last role play, but let me encourage you, go to The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. You've got to read the chapter on listening. It will absolutely change your life, and it will dramatically improve your closing ratio as long as you are closing. Okay, so let me give you, I've got this 3-step process, and then I have one more tip I'm going to give you, and I'm going to cover them really quick because I know you're going to have a lot of really specific questions for me once I'm done, okay? So let me just dive in. We're going to go step 1, 2, and 3, very simple. This is how you close sales. Are you ready? Number 1, start with ownership questions. Throughout your sales presentation, you want to do ownership questions. What is an ownership question? Well, these became popularized with a sales trainer named Tom Hopkins from a book, Mastering the Art of Selling. And in this book, what Tom talks about is when he was selling real estate, he sold, don't quote me on this, but I believe it was a little over 400 homes in 1 year. More than one a day. Homes that he sold as a realtor. Set the record. I think it still stands today, actually, for an individual rep. One of the ways he did that is when he was showing people the house, he was always asking them questions like, Mrs. Jones, if you bought this house, do you think that you would leave the landscaping the way it is, or do you think you'd make some changes? Mr. Jones, this is a great garage here. Is there anything you would do differently if you owned this home? And they start talking about, well, yeah, I would rearrange this, or we'd probably repaint the house, or we'd do that. They were visualizing themselves buying this house, right? And so, that's an ownership question. Now, unfortunately, many salespeople don't understand the reason for the ownership question. There's two reasons that are both equally important. The first one is that what I just said, it helps them to visualize they are buying the house. It helps them visualize this. Very important, okay? But number two, and equally important, it helps you to understand where you're at in the sales process. What is your balance right now in terms of trust versus risk? How much trust have you built up? Let me give you an example. Let's say I was talking to a business owner and I said, Bob, let me ask you a question, Bob. If you decided to move forward with us, would you like to get that new upgraded chip card terminal, or would you prefer that I just reprogram the terminal that you have here now? Now, let me give you a response, and I'm going to say the same thing twice, and I want you to listen to the difference in the way that I say it. Let's say if the first time he responds with, I guess we would want, the reprogram if we decided to move forward with it. Now, imagine me saying basically the same thing, but saying it like this. Oh, we would definitely want the EMV chip card. We'd want to get the new one. Can you tell? I answer that question pretty much the same way, but see the difference in a couple words that were changed and the tone of my voice. It's obvious that the first response, you're nowhere near closing that sale. They're not interested at all. They're saying things like, well, I'm not saying we're going to move forward, but if we do, right? Wow, I got some work to do. I need to get more information. I need to have a conversation. The second way where he says, oh, we would definitely want that. We definitely want that free EMV terminal. You're ready to close. Why? Because of the way they're answering the question. It's like they're obviously ready to go. So the ownership questions are vital. They're crucial for you to kind of see where you're at in the sales process. Okay? You have two types of ownership questions. The one you use earlier on in the pitch is the if you decided ones, because that's not as pushy. It's like, Bob, if you decided to move forward, Susan, if you decided to move forward, would you want me to be here for the installation, or would you feel more comfortable just having a phone call? That's an if you decided to move forward. So it's not very assumptive. You're not assuming the sale yet. As you get closer to the close, you just drop the if and you just say something like, Bob, would you prefer that we provide you with the free upgraded terminal that's chip compliant, or that we reprogram your existing terminal? See, now I didn't say if you go with this, so now I'm not being assumptive. Or now I am being assumptive, Now I'm being assumptive. Now I'm going to really see where I'm at. And I'm usually going to ask a question like that before I close. Okay, so that's step one. Start with ownership questions. Okay. Next, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this now. You can Snapchat me later for more specific ideas, but I'm going to give you just a really brief thing here, okay? You want to create a pitch that generates what we call porcupine questions. Porcupine questions. What's a porcupine question? Well, imagine if I threw a porcupine at you. What would you do? You would throw it back. Again, this is a Tom Hopkins technique, and it works amazingly well. If you're a car salesman and somebody says, does this car come in blue? What would your response be? Think about it. Does this car come in blue? You should have thought in your mind, you would have said, would you like it in blue? Would you like it in blue? Why? Because you just closed the sale, you're done. All right? So you got to be on the alert for these porcupine questions where you want to have a pitch that gets them to ask you questions. And when they ask you a question like, well, what's the timeline? You should respond, what would you like the timeline to be? Well, when would the new terminal be installed? When would you prefer it would be installed? That's a porcupine question. And the reason that's so cool is because now I don't even have to close. I'm done, right? I just closed the sale right there. Makes it really easy for everybody. Makes it easier for them to make a decision. It makes it easier for you to close the sale, okay? All right. Let's see here. Okay, let me go down here. Okay, now, once you've done this and you've asked some ownership questions, you try to get the porcupine question. Maybe you got it, maybe you didn't. Now you're going to move to the permission close or the paperwork close. And again, this all goes together with this concept, the first bullet point of this smooth process. So once they say, yeah, we would definitely want the EMV terminal or whatever. If you think you've already got them sold, and you can tell from the way they've responded to either a porcupine question or the way they've responded to an ownership question, you can tell I've got this sale. Then you move right into what's called the paperwork close. Paperwork close is very simple. Pull out your paperwork and say, Mr. Jones, I'm going to go ahead and make a few notes here just to make sure I don't forget any of the important details. What's the spelling of your last name? And you start writing their name on the application. And then you just move through it, And what's the address where you would like the statement sent? Would you like it sent here or somewhere else? Put that on the paperwork. Write that down. You just move through the paperwork. That's the paperwork close, okay? Now, that one works great, again, if you're very confident they're going to move forward. The other one is the permission close, and this is where you feel like you've got enough trust built up and they're pretty interested and you can move forward, but you're not you're not 100% sure. So you're going to say, Bob, with your permission, I'd like to go ahead and get some paperwork done so that we can move forward with this. Are there any other questions that you have for me before we move forward? So with your permission, I like to use the permission close. That one's from Brian Tracy, Mastering the Art of Closing. Also the paperwork close kind of talks about this idea in greater detail, so get those books. But the permission close is great. It's very, very effective. In fact, I use the permission close probably more than any other close because I use it throughout the sales process for all kinds of little things. I've got an article coming out, I don't know, sometime this week you'll see it. I wrote it this morning, and I'm really excited about it. I've got this little mini series the rest of this week about getting the statement. So I'll tell you about the article that's coming out tonight, which you're going to think is hilarious. I'll tell you about that in a minute. At the end of the call, I'll tell you about this. I've got this blog article, and we're doing this role play on Friday that's going to blow your mind. None of you are going to expect it, trust me. So hang on here, and I'll tell you about that at the end. But I've got these other 3 articles. They're going to be like, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And they're going to be the 3 steps to getting the statement. And they're going to talk about different situations of getting and how to get the statement in that situation. And you'll notice I use the permission close all the time in there. Like if I'm going to call their current company, I say, with your permission, I'll just go ahead and give the current company a call, ask them to send the statement over to your email address. But I use that permission close a lot because people love to give permission. It's really a good line to use. Okay, so we use that permission close and the paperwork close. And now let me give you one more tip, and then we're going to move on to your issues, your objections that you're facing out there in the field. And again, before I do that, I'm going to my last tip. Make sure you go to twitter.com/CCSalesPro and post your challenges that you're facing in the field and why you're not able to close deals, so I can talk about it here in a minute. Or you can Snapchat me using the username CCSalesPro, or you can go to facebook.com/CCSalesPro and just post it as a comment underneath the post about this role play session. So my last tip is this. This is where a lot of reps get hung up. You want to get them to yes with the minimum amount of information. Now, let me explain this because this is really misunderstood, okay? So I am all about providing information. As you guys can tell, I'm an inbound marketer, right? I have 175,000 Twitter followers. I've got, probably closing in on 1 million YouTube views, something like that. And so I share tons of information. I'm doing a role play with you right now. You may or may not even be on my sales team, and I'm just sharing this free information with you. So I'm all about providing information. And by the way, in case you're wondering, I'm doing that so that my recruiting department can get on the phone with you and close you on joining our team. Right? So in case you were wondering, that's why I do this. Because again, I'm sharing information with you, hoping that you'll share some information with me. We'll build some trust, and then I'm going to have my recruiting department cash in that trust by closing you on joining our team. Whether that's now or whether that's in 5 years, I think at some point in the future, we might do business together, and that's one of the reasons I do this. So I'm all about sharing information. Sharing information is great. It's exciting. However, when you're actually trying to close the sale and you're going through the presentation, when I say the minimum amount of information, I don't mean we're trying to gloss over things and we're not giving them the information they want. What I'm saying is give the prospect the information that they want and that just what they want. Not necessarily what they need, just what they want, okay? It's emotional. Close the sale, then you want to use all of this information that you've got this great information about your company and your service and blah, blah, blah. Use that to fight buyer's remorse. After the sale is closed, say, Mr. Jones, I am really looking forward to working with you. Now he's breathing a sigh of relief. He's made this big decision. He signed up. It's over. And now you say, Mr. Jones, I'm really looking forward to working with you. I want to tell you a couple other things about why this decision you made today is such a great decision. And now you go into take another 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 minutes to explain the other information that would have just complicated the process earlier. So too many salespeople, they share way too much information initially, and then they try to close, and then when they do close, they run out the door like, ha, you signed the paperwork, sucker, and then they run out the door, and you're like, oh, no, don't do that, Share the minimum amount of information in order to guide them seamlessly and without any confusion towards a sale. Then when you get the sale, then you stop and you assure them of how trustworthy you are by sharing information with them to leave there with this huge amount of trust in your bank account that you don't have to risk anymore because you already got the sale. So there you go. That's how you close the deal. Hopefully those tips were helpful. Let's see what kind of questions we got now. If by this point, if you're living in a cave and so you're not on Twitter, you're not on Snapchat, and you're not on Facebook, which, first of all, come out of your cave, all right, and get on one, right? Anyway, so that's okay. That's fine. Or maybe you're on the road and you don't have access to your social media profiles. We'll say it's that, right? Because we don't want to say that you're out of date. We want to say you're just not able to get on those. So that's okay, right? You're in a hotel somewhere and you just, for some reason, your smartphone is dead. Anyway, so if you can't get to me on any of those social media platforms, go ahead and type your question out in the question box over to the right. Okay, and that's fine. Type it out over to the right. I'll be glad to answer your questions. But we're going to start by going to Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat to see if anybody had any challenges they were facing that they put on there. So bear with me for just a moment here. And I am going to pull that up here. So let's start with Twitter. And let's see if anybody put anything on. Oh, wait, that's not the right hashtag. James, what are you doing? Hold on here. Okay, so Twitter roleplay. Let's see if we got anybody doing that there. Okay, good. We got a few here. Oh, wait, that one is from the 19th. So nobody did a Twitter one here. It doesn't look like to me. See if we got any other notifications on this one. Okay, let me run over here to Facebook. You guys are going to put them all in the question box, aren't you? That's fine. I get it. It's okay. Here I was all excited about Snapchat today. All right, let's see. Oh, here we go. Look at this. Grant, thank you very much. Okay. So Grant says on Facebook, okay, problem with getting someone to be interested in being involved with the program. Yeah, so let's see, Grant, let me see if I can unmute your line and I could probably answer this question in a little bit more detail here. Let's see.
Well, about the end when I get ready to leave is when it's playing out. Basically, or when they feel like they're through with me, either one, speaking to me, and mostly it's because the person I need to speak to is not there.
Okay. Well, so we have two different issues here, and thank you for that, Grant. Those are some really good ones. So let's talk about these two things separately. The first one is I wasn't able to get a hold of the right person. So when that one happens, you haven't gotten the right decision maker. For that problem right there, what I do is this. First of all, when you walk in and you're first talking to the merchant and they say, or you're talking to whoever at the front counter, make sure don't ever ask for the owner or ask for the manager. Instead, ask them a question that only the decision maker would know, like, who are you currently using for credit card processing? And what's going to happen is when you ask that question, they're going to usually say, well, you need to talk to Susan, or you need to talk to the manager, Bob, or whatever. And you say, oh, okay, is he in? Oh, is she in? Just real quick. Oh, is he in? Oh, is she in? And when they say, yes, they're in the back, you say, oh, thank you very much. So you got to kind of cut them off before they say, yeah, he's in the back and you can't talk to him. When they say, yeah, he's in the back, you kind of cut them off and say, oh, thank you very much. Now they're going to have to go back and get him and bring him up. Trust me, it works. You have to try it out. If you tried that and then you still can't get a hold of the right person, get a time when they're going to be there. Come back in. You're going to have to try it multiple times. You might try a phone call. If that doesn't work, look them up on LinkedIn. Look them up on Twitter. Connect with them there. That's another great way to do it. And so that's one problem. The second problem is they're just not showing an interest in the program. So for that, what I would say is that is always going to be an indication to me that the trust level is not there. So let's say you're actually speaking with the decision maker and they don't seem interested. That's always, in my experience, because they don't have that trust level yet. Because think about it. Why wouldn't they be interested? I mean, if you're providing a real value proposition, why wouldn't they be interested? Well, the only reason is they probably don't trust you or they don't like you yet. And you can't take that personally. That's sales, So what you have to do is you have to pause and you have to make sure you're listening to them. So a lot of sales is kind of manufacturing conversation to go in the way you want it to go. So ask them some questions about their business. Boy, it's great, so great meeting you. How long have you guys been here in this business? Tell me more about your business. What made you get into this business? These are all things that build trust because they're going to share more information. Then they'll be closer attention to your closing there. So, here's a really good one. I love this one. Why do you need my statement? Now I'll give you a little trick on this one. And this is funny. So I always try to respond by saying the thing the customer wants me to say first. So in this case, what I'll do is they'll be like, well, why do you need my statement? Well, actually, I really don't need your statement. And that's the good news. There's really no reason at all for me to have your statement. And it kind of throws them off like, I thought you just asked for my statement, I really don't need your statement at all. All I need is I just need the fee section. And so I just need to be able to take a look at the fees. If you have one handy, actually, I can just take a picture with my smartphone, or you can make a copy and just cut off the parts you don't want me to have. I don't need your statement. I just need to look at the fees, so I can compare it to what we would have so you can really see the value. That makes sense to you, doesn't it? And so that's how I respond to that one. I love that little trick, though, of saying, well, I really don't need the statement at all. And it kind of really throws them off. Okay, I'm going to leave my Snapchat up. So for those of you that are on Snapchat, you can do that. And I think I got some people on here that sent me snaps. Okay, so hold on a second, and let's see what I got over here. By the way, what I'm going to use that for those of you that weren't on here earlier, what I'm using Snapchat for is two things, and then I'll get to the other questions in the question box. The first thing I'm going to use Snapchat for that I'm really excited about is my story. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Snapchat, you post these 10-second videos. So it's kind of like Twitter and YouTube together. But you post these little 10-second videos called snaps, and they're available as part of a story for 24 hours. So for instance, if you went on there, you would see me talking about this morning I did my computer programming class. I volunteer at a local high school, and I teach a computer programming class. Some of you didn't know that I was that smart, did you? And so I'm really not. I actually, I'm actually scared to death. Some of my students are like 8th graders are going to pass me up before the year is over. So it's like an introduction to computer programming, just a little hobby thing for me. And so I talked about that a little bit this morning, and then I talked about getting ready for this event. And then I'm going to be talking about some cool stuff I'm doing tonight. I'm working all night tonight. I think I'm working till like midnight or something. I got a ton of stuff I'm going to work on. I'm really excited about it. So anyway, so I can talk to you about all that good stuff. And so my wife very graciously is taking care of the kids tonight, letting me work really late. So anyway, so if you want to go on Snapchat, the other thing is if you have questions while you're out in the field, you can just snap a quick video. It's 10 seconds and just send it to me, and I will reply to you as quickly as I can. Obviously, if I'm consulting or traveling or whatever, it might take a little while, but I'm going to try to get back to them as quick as I can. And I just love the idea of being able to just real quickly snap an answer back to you of here's my rebuttal to that objection. So whether you're on our team or not, you can Snapchat with me, and I'll be looking forward to that. Okay. And again, if some of you also snap me, this is the first time I've done this on the event, so I may have missed your snap. If I did, just type it out over here. And I promise to be better at Snapchat next time. All right, here we go. You ready? I have 14 minutes, so I'm going to go through these. Here we go. Let's see. Hold on one second. I would like to know what days are these webinars, David? They're actually, David, I don't have a specific schedule for them. I'm definitely going to be doing them Friday at 11 a.m. That's going to be my big one. And so this Friday we're doing the Donald Trump role play. I will explain more in a minute, okay? So it's not political, all right? I'll explain more on that in a little bit, but that's at 11 a.m. on Friday. And then other than that, I'm going to try to do one every week. I don't know when. I'll send an email out. It just depends on my schedule right now is crazy. I'm traveling a lot, and I'm working on some really cool stuff for all of you. And so I've been traveling a lot. Let's see here. Okay, so if they're with a friend or family, here's a really good one. So if they're with a friend or family, number one, you have to understand that approximately 70 to 80% of the time, in my experience, that objection is not true. So a lot of small business owners will use that objection as a way to get rid of you because they know they can. But of course, you can't go right at them because, So here's what I do. I try to pass by it one time and I say, well, I certainly don't understand. I don't understand the nature, I don't know the nature of your relationship with your nephew, and so I certainly wouldn't want to get in the way of a valuable relationship. However, if I was able to save you some significant amount of money, would you at least be interested in taking a look at that? So that's what I say. And again, I'm recording this. You can go back and replay it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Oh, I love this one. Two of them here. So I've shown my statement to many companies and no one can beat my rates. Okay. So on that one, you say to them, you say, well, it sounds like there's a pretty good chance I'm going to be wasting my time then if I take a look at your statement, doesn't it? So you start by agreeing with them and they're like, yeah, man, it's just going to be a waste of time. Well, you know what? I am so confident in the program that I have because of my whatever direct relationship with the processor, because of my low prices, whatever your value proposition is. Because of that, I'm so confident that I am willing to risk wasting my time just to help you out and give you a statement. And I know you're going to appreciate that. I don't mind at all. So I tell you what, do you have a statement here I can take a look at? Won't cost you anything. Won't take any of your time. But I'll do a cost analysis anyway. Just if for no other reason, I'm glad to meet you. And I figure maybe sometime you'll need somebody. And I want to be the first one on your stack. So do you have one I can look at real quick? Or should I pick it up later in the week? So I just pass right by it. I'm constantly bombarded. I get like 20 phone calls a day. So first of all, I say, boy, you know what? I am so sorry to hear that because I know that's such a waste of your time. You know, these big companies, a lot of times they outsource overseas and they get these call centers in the Philippines or India to call you 50 times a day. And, I'm really sorry that these big corporations are doing that. Let me ask you a question. Are you currently processing with one of the big companies or do you have a local small business owner like me that's doing the processing for you? And they will ashamedly say, well, no, I don't have a local rep. And then you're like, well, I'm so glad I was able to stop by today because I certainly want to help you out and make sure you're able to support the local small business community because just like you, I hate all these telemarketers that are calling from other countries. So what happens is you put yourself on their side instead of on the side of, you're not one of the big companies that's doing this. What basic questions do I ask about how they do their processing, compatibility, gateway, recurring billing? So, Michael, it really does kind of depend on, when you walk in, you know what I mean? So it kind of depends on their type of business. But yeah, you're on the right track. I mean, I would ask them about the equipment that they use, what type of equipment are you using? I would ask them things like, is this connected to a phone line or an internet line? If it's not on the internet line, why not? I might ask them things about, tell me about your last company before the one you have now. I imagine you've probably switched a few times, haven't you? And they're like, yeah. Tell me about why you switched. And, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Lisa says, what do you do when they tell you to come back on such and such day to pick up the statement and you continue to go back 6-7 times and, you don't get it? So what I do is I use guilt to my advantage. I'm never unprofessional about it. But what I do is I go in and I'm just so super nice. I just overwhelm them with my niceness. And I'm like, I walk in, hey, Bob, how you doing? Oh, man, it's so good to see you again. Boy, it's a great day out there, isn't it? I just can't believe the weather. Hey, you know what? I wanted to stop by and just pick up that statement. I won't be here longer than 30 seconds. I just need to get the cost analysis done. Did you happen to remember that? No, you didn't. Hey, that's okay. That's no problem at all. I don't mind driving out here again. It's no problem at all. I tell you what, are you going to be here on Thursday, say, afternoon? You will. Great. You know what? Can you do me a huge favor? Can you put a reminder in your phone or something? And then I will drive out here on Thursday and I'm going to get that statement. Boy, it's so great to see you again. Shake their hand. I'll see you on Thursday. Turn around and walk out. If you do it like that, you come back on Thursday and they're like, oh, I forgot that. I forgot to get that statement. Oh, no. It's no problem at all. You know what I'll do? Hold on one second. Let me look at my schedule real quick. And you pull up your phone. Now you pause a little bit, and you pull your phone up and you scroll through. Let's see here. I'm going to be back here Tuesday. Tuesday morning, does that work for you? Tuesday morning it is. Boy, I'm really looking forward to seeing you again on Tuesday morning. Hey, you have a great day, Bob. Shake their hand again. You turn around and walk out. You do that about 3 or 4 times, and they are going to feel like dirt when you come back and they didn't bring the statement, and they're going to bring the statement. So, I think you had another one here. Also, when you present an analysis with a great savings and they want to call you after they look over it. There's a good one that happens all the time, and let's talk about that one because I think that happens a lot. So you present the statement, it's like really good savings, and then they're like, "Well, I'm gonna look over this and think about it." Now, Lisa, you're probably an amazing sales rep. So I'm not talking about you right now, okay? But a lot of salespeople, when that happens, and this happens to me all the time, by the way, Lisa. So a lot of times it's because I got off track somewhere along the way, and I really never should have even ended up in that spot. In other words, when you get your closing process down where you're using the permission close, asking the ownership questions, many times that objection is really, I don't trust you enough to sign paperwork yet. Unfortunately, so we just had to back up a little bit and understand that and say, so here's what I'll do. I'll give you an example. I'll say, well, hey, first of all, of course, you always agree, right? Of course. Take all the time you need. I would never want to push you into any kind of a decision that you might regret later. I would never want to do that. Let me ask you a couple other questions, though, about your business. And now I'm going to go right back into asking them questions about their business, moving into ownership questions. And then once I can see that I've got their trust, now I'm going to go back in and say, you know what, Bob, while I'm here, with your permission, I tell you what I'd like to do. And this, I'll tell you what I do. Some of you, maybe you sell for another company that doesn't offer this. Everybody I sell for, we do 30-day trials. So either they do a 30-day trial or it's even a month-to-month agreement. So I'll say, look, I tell you what I want to do. I know you need to think this over, but I tell you what, doesn't it make sense to think this over with the most information possible? In other words, if I could provide you information that really did show you the exact details of what was going to happen with your decision, if you could see into the future, Mr. Jones, I'm sure you'd make better decisions, wouldn't you? Well, of course I would. Great. Well, here's what let's do. With your permission, I'm going to go ahead and get the paperwork started. I'm going to bring in a terminal at no cost to you. We're going to put it in here for a month. You're not going to sign a long-term agreement with me, a month-to-month program. We're going to get you in here for a month. Then, when you get your first statement, I'm going to come back and I'm going to take our statement and I'm going to compare it to your statement with your current company from your last full month. And I'm going to show you exactly how much money we saved you. And if I don't save you money or you feel like the service wasn't there, cancel the service, hand me the terminal back. I walk out the door. We take your current terminal, we just put it under the counter for a month, put it right back up on top of the counter. It's like I was never here, But I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're going to love the service and I'm really looking forward to working with you. Does that sound fair, Mr. Jones? Okay. Actually, I wouldn't say that. I would say that sounds fair to you, doesn't it? Or you would at least let me do that, wouldn't you? I got a response today that they went with a client that advertised with them. Oh, those are always really tough. I really don't even know what to tell you on that. Where there's like this other value proposition that they're getting from the relationship. That's a tough one. You have got to either provide some additional value yourself, or come back in 3 months and try again. But that you're not going to overcome that one. This is going to be recorded, Chris. It's going to be on YouTube. So go to youtube.com/CCSalesPro. I'll be traveling tomorrow. I'm going out of Virginia to meet some executives from a new processing company I've never met before, which is cool. It'll be on YouTube. So, all right, everybody. Hey, thank you so much. Look at that. I'm like 5 minutes early. So close these deals. Let me give you one last tip and then we'll go. Close these deals. Okay, here's the commitment I've personally made to myself because I am a trust builder. People love me, like me when I go into a business, right? But if I'm not careful, I'll walk out and I want to leave with them liking me. And sometimes that means I leave without the sale. And I'm not okay with that. So here's what I do. I've made a personal commitment to myself. I will never leave a merchant location without closing the deal. Now, they might say no, but I will never leave a merchant location without trying to close the deal. If I'm in front of the decision maker, I am going to close that deal. I'm going to try to. And another one I'll give you one more real quick that I use is, have I earned your business? That's a tough one to say no to. So try that one as well. If you get, you're just like, look, I just got to close the sale. You're thinking in your mind, and you're like, I'm about to leave with a callback, and you say, Mr. Jones, I spent some time talking with you. I think I've answered all your questions. I know I've shown you that I can save you money. Have I earned your business? That's a great closing line. Try that one out. But make sure you close every single time. And let's see, Richard. Yeah, we do have some loyalty and gift card programs through a couple different companies. Snapchat me, email me, james@ccsalespro.com, tweet to me, Facebook me, whatever, and I'll give you the info on that, definitely. So, hey, if you're interested in, by the way, one other thing I'll give you real quick. If you would like to join our team or you'd like to just learn more about it, you can go to CCSalesPro.com. I'm putting it in the chat box here, /schedule to schedule a call with my team to talk to you and answer your questions. CCSalesPro.com/schedule. And they can answer any questions that you have about joining our team, programs that we have, things like that. CCSalesPro.com/schedule. And last thing is, I've said that like 5 times now. Last thing is, make sure you add me on Snapchat. And if you're not on Snapchat and you're actually in the field selling, I'm telling you, it is the best coaching social media platform I've ever seen. I'm really excited about it. I'm going to be on here every day giving you my story for the day. And you, in turn, can go on to Snapchat and you can snap messages back to me and ask me questions. I think you're really going to like it. It's a really personal platform. It's very cool. So try that one out. Oh, good, Richard. You already got a scheduled meeting on Friday. Sean, it's going to be with Sean. He'll answer all your questions. He's awesome with that. So, all right, everybody. Hey, thank you very much. And my Snapchat is right here on the screen. You can just take a picture of it, or it's just CCSalesPro. So the username, I forgot the name. The username is CCSalesPro. Okay. My name is James Shepard. Thanks for watching, and we will be hopefully talking again soon. Oh, wait, I didn't tell you the last thing. Oh, no, you guys are all getting off. I have an article coming out. You're going to get it in about 15 minutes, and it's called 5 Sales Lessons from Donald Trump for President. Now, whether you're a Donald Trump supporter or not, whether he's your cup of tea or not, for me, he happens not to be my cup of tea, but let's not get into that, okay? I think we could learn some huge lessons from Donald Trump, okay? I love Donald Trump, okay? I've read all of his books, and I think he's an awesome businessman. Not my cup of tea for president, but needless to say, he has accomplished some incredible things, and I've got 5 lessons that I've learned from Donald Trump, and I share those in a blog article this Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. We're going to role play on these 5 lessons from Donald Trump, and so we're going to have the Donald Trump role play. He will not be there in person, unfortunately. I might wear a Donald Trump wig, though. I'm trying to find one. So I'm thinking about it. So anyway, but it as the Donald would say, it's going to be huge. So make sure you join us for the Donald Trump role play at 11 a.m. And for those of you that are offended by that, next week I'm going to have the Bernie Sanders role play. So I've got both my bases covered here, okay? So no matter which, side you're on, I have, a champion here. So anyway, but we're going to be talking about, because I think you can learn from everybody, whether you agree politically with Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders. Whenever somebody is successful at something, I want to try to learn how they've accomplished it, whether I agree with them or even whether I really disagree with them, as actually I do with both Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, but I can learn lessons from both of them. So we're gonna talk about that this Friday at 11 a.m. But you'll get that email in about 15 minutes. It's gonna be really cool. So thanks everybody. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll talk to you on Friday.